Hello and welcome back to our channel, Galanda's Garden and Adventures. In today's video, I will share with you guys the pole bean variety that we highly recommend. Through the many years of gardening and planting beans, we've got our favorite. It's the early riser organic heirloom Romano-like pole beans. In this video, I will walk you through our experience with this variety and how productive and pest-free it is. I will also share with you how we collect the seeds, process, and store them for next season's planting. So stay tuned and watch the video till the end. As early as the first week of March, I transplanted 5 of these early riser pole bean and 2 bush beans with the intention of having the bush beans to stay in the ground while the early riser pole bean will climb up to the strings that my son Cedric tied up in the structures. Our intention is for the pole bean to look like a curtain. Close the curtain.
I don't know when I tied this, there's nothing there.
The early riser heirloom bean variety is very productive, pest-free, and early producer. It can start producing as early as 55 days given the proper growing conditions. It has an 8 to 10 inches Romano type green pods, meaning Romano type is flat green pods, where other or most of the other green bean varieties are rounded or cylindrical. So this particular variety, if you notice in my pictures, they're all flatter and they are a little bit longer than the normal round beans. This variety is also not only prolific, but it has a longer lifespan. It will continue to produce until frost once you keep picking them. In our case, I have harvested so many already. I freeze a lot and I would like to give the bean a rest, so I stop picking them and let the bean mature for seed collection. But if I keep picking the younger ones, the bean will continue to produce until almost December or January, until frost. So my intention for my front yard is to change plants after I take this out, after I collected all the seeds for next year's or next season's planting. I will put some other plants in this location. So I stopped picking up at a certain point. First week of September, we're not picking anymore. We let it mature and dry in the vine, and that way they are more viable. I don't have to dry it longer once I pick them because it's already been dried in the vine. So the main purpose really, or my goal, is to have a healthy and viable seeds for next year's crop. The common bean plant disease is what we call BCM, or the bean common mosaic. This is caused by the bean common mosaic virus, or BCMV. It's causing the leaves to have mosaic pattern of alternating pattern patches of light and dark green. The worst case implementation or infestation is having a puckering and downward curling of the leaves. So this particular variety, the early riser, is resistant to this BCMV. So if you notice in my plant, I have not observed, I've not seen any of my leaves to have the bean common mosaic virus infestation. We practice succession planting on all our vegetables or crop. I time it that when the first batch is ending, the second batch are already been producing. So I've ended up these bean plants in the front yard, but the ones in the backyard are already been producing. And I have few more plants in the side yard as third batch. Our goal has always been sustainability, so we don't do one time big time harvest and that's it, next year again. No. But we want to sustain productivity, to have it or to have a continuous harvest or produce until frost. So we have vegetable whenever we need it. For collecting the seeds for next season's planting, we let our matured beans to dry in the vine. We only harvest them when it turned brown and it begin to show signs of cracking open and the seeds are hardened. And we also make sure that it is completely dry so it will be viable and germination rate is 100% or at least 99% for next year's season. You can store your dried beans with the pods, but I personally prefer removing the seeds from the pods and storing it in a clean, dry, dark, and sealed container. We don't want any moist in our seeds or light, or it will start to germinate. I always repurpose things, so in this case, I am reusing my Olay facial cream container. I just wash it, disinfect, and dry thoroughly. I like it because it is opaque or dark and sealed. It protects my seeds from other elements that may impact its viability. I also like to use this or repurpose this test strip vial that is laying around. I have some extras of this because it is also dark or opaque and it's also sealed. So I just put the seeds in there and put labels on it, date and year where I store the seeds, so I know exactly the viability. These are the ones that I collected today. So I put the extra one in the Ziploc, and I have 2 of those Olay facial cream containers, and 4 of the test strip vials are filled up. So I just put labels on it. And I also have other, seeds that I collected that I have to also store properly. So what you can see here are my seed collection. I actually have so many of them, and I also have an organizer for the store-bought seeds that has its names on it, and it has all of this in its particular container, so I put them in my organizer. So I have so many actually, but I put dates in them because if the seeds is over 2 years or 3 years, depending on what it is, it's no longer viable. You've been planting it and there's only like 2 or 3 that's gonna grow because germination rate is low. So seeds is always best if it's fresh. So that's what I've learned through my experience, that if you just the seeds just to your prior year and you plant them, for sure your germination rate is 99%, so I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something from me through my experience. Have a good day.